State in order the sequence of transformations that have occurred to x squared plus y squared equals 16 to give the image graph described by the equation below. So the first thing we need to do is reintroduce the dashes onto the x and y variables as shown, and then we want to rearrange this equation to resemble our basic equation, which is up here, x squared plus y squared equals 16, as much as possible. So if we inspect this, we have a term involving x all squared plus a term involving y all squared equals 16. So in that sense, it already resembles the original basic equation. So that means we can just equate the x and the y parts. So the x dash plus 2 is equivalent to the x position, and the y dash minus 6 here is equivalent to the y position. So from this we can generate two equations. We can say that y is equal to y dash minus 6 and that x is equal to x dash plus 2. Next we need to solve for the dash terms. So for our equation involving y, I'm going to add 6 to both sides of the equation, and that will give y dash is equal to y plus 6. For the equation involving x, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides of this equation, and that will give us x dash is equal to x subtract 2. So with these two equations, we can now put it back into mapping notation, which can assist us to determine the transformations that have occurred. So we know that x comma y has been mapped to, and for the x, we can see that that has been mapped to x minus 2 from this equation. So we have x minus 2 here, then we have comma, and we know that y has been mapped to y plus 6 from this equation, so we put y plus 6 here, and that is the mapping notation that describes the transformations. On this slide we have the mapping notation that describes the transformations shown, and we can use this to determine the transformations that have occurred. So for this we only have translations that have occurred. So we have a translation of 2 units in the negative x direction, which is given by the x subtract 2 in the mapping notation, or the x plus 2 in the equation given. Then we also have a translation of 6 units in the positive y direction, which is given by the y plus 6 in the mapping notation, or the y minus 6 inside the given equation. So they are the transformations that have occurred to x squared plus y squared equals 16.